What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Legends. This week, I have the honor and the pleasure to highlight one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. Top three for sure. I'm talking about no other than the legendary Bay Area quarterback out of San Francisco, Joe Montana. Yes, this series is about legends that often their names are not called out a lot, maybe not remembered in history as they should be, considering the things that they accomplished in the game of football. But for Joe Montana, he's all those things. We know the things that he's accomplished. His name is synonymous with winning, particularly four-quarter comebacks. But the thing about Joe that really just resonates with me is because we're witnessing history right now with what Tom Brady's accomplishing in his career. And because players like Tom, technology, science, rule changes, benchmarks are being remade, and records continue to be broken and rewritten. So, that being said, what Joe Montana was able to do in the 80s, for a kid like me, it was just motivation. It was one of those things that I knew when the pressure got at its highest, you could make things happen on the football field. Joe hails from New Eagle, Pennsylvania, which is a small coal mining town. He was a three-sport star. Football, basketball, and baseball were his pride and joy. By the time he was a senior in high school, Montana was a parade All-American. He received a scholarship from NC State, where they offered him to be able to play two sports, basketball and football. But Joe had someone that he looked up to that was an alumni of Notre Dame, and the rest is history. They had this old archaic rule that freshmen had to play on the freshman team, so he didn't participate initially on the varsity team. But by the time Joe was a sophomore, he began to build a name for himself around campus. And in back-to-back games in that 75 season, he would go and pull his team out of a deficit and give them a fourth-quarter comeback and ultimately a win. By the end of that year, he would earn a nickname, the Comeback Kid. In that 75 season, they would end, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish would end their record at 8-3. Joe participated in 7 of those games, and all 7 they would go undefeated. 76 season, he would go out and have a shoulder injury and miss the entire season. But he would come back in 77. Still, nothing was given to Joe. In that 77 season, his senior year, he would enter that fall as the third quarterback on the depth chart. He would go on to lead them to 9 straight victories and an appearance in the Cotton Bowl versus the University of Texas, where ultimately they would get the win and their share of the title of the national champions. It would be 1979, the NFL draft, where Joe Montana would hear his name called by the commissioner. He'd be a third-round pick, 82nd overall. San Francisco 49ers didn't know it then, but we all know it now. They would find a franchise quarterback. His rookie year, he would be a backup. He would earn his first comeback, though, in that same season versus New Orleans Saints, where the 49ers were down 35-7. By the time they ended the game, they found themselves leading and winning by 3, 38-35. Joe Montana will continue his winning ways by leading the 49ers to a 13-3 record. Ultimately, a playoff win versus the Cowboys in the NFC Championship. And they will go on to Super Bowl 16 to win their first franchise Super Bowl, defeating the Cincinnati Bengals. And by winning and bringing home Super Bowl 16, Montana put himself in more elite company, where he would only be one of 2 quarterbacks to win a national championship and a Super Bowl during his football career. In 82 through 85, Montana would go on and set the league on fire, running off some of the things he was able to accomplish. 82, he led the NFL in passing. 83, he would go on to the NFC Championship, where they would lose to the Washington football team. In 84, they would have another outstanding year with a 15-1 record and dominating the Miami Dolphins in the Super Bowl. The 85 and 86 season, they were going to make the playoffs, but they wouldn't be the same teams. 86, Father Time kind of started to creep up on Mr. Montana. He would go on to suffer a back injury and put his career in question. Steve Young would come over to San Francisco in 87, participating in 8 games and having a quarterback QBR of 120. 88 season, Joe did some of his best work in the playoffs. throwing for 3 touchdowns in each of the playoff games, and going on to break his own Super Bowl record with over 350 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. It was a 92-yard drive. Montana going 8 for 9. They were all pass plays on that drive. Offensive coordinator knew he had the confidence of Joe that he could depend on him, and that he did. Back corner, Joe rolling right, throws a little bit, maybe a quarter across the field, and we know the rest is history. John Taylor jumping up, leaping, making the catch. 49ers becoming Super Bowl champions. In the 89 and 90 season, Joe wasn't done. He would make himself the NFL MVP, winning that back-to-back. After dealing with elbow injuries, quarterback controversy with Steve Young, in 1993, Joe Montana was put in a trade request with the San Francisco 49ers. And the Kansas City Chiefs would start engineering a prolific offensive team themselves. They would, in that free agency in 93, they would sign one of the better running backs to ever play the game by the name of Marcus Allen. But they also would add Joe Montana talent to the backfield. The Kansas City Chiefs would go on to play in the AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills, where they would succumb to the loss, 30-13. In the 1994 season, it will ultimately become Joe Montana's last season as an NFL player. He will win and go out as a winner at 9-7 and have a head-to-head matchup against his beloved San Francisco 49ers and getting the win there. Joe retired at the age of 38 and tied with Terry Bradshaw for the most Super Bowl wins at that time. Listen to some of the things that Joe was able to accomplish during his NFL career. He was a 4-time Super Bowl champion, a 3-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time NFL MVP, and would go on to have his own Super Bowl records. Joe Montana, for a number of reasons, was my favorite quarterback, particularly in the 80s and the 90s. From me going out to buy that starter jacket, to me changing my allegiance. When Joe left San Francisco 49ers, I became a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Dynamic, cool under pressure, and one of those people that just showed me continually throughout his career, and even when those pressure situations would fall in my lap in my own career, that remaining calm in the moment tends to fare much better for the athlete than getting all up in your emotions. Being a captain, being a quarterback of a team, or any type of leadership role, that leader has to have patience and vision. Joe Montana showed me that continuously through my childhood. Just remain calm in the middle of the storm, you can see your way through. Appreciate those lessons. Much respect to you. Check them out.